Okay, so where everybody is, I think, is on this during goals. So think about, we're now in the unit of directions and around town vocabulary. Okay, so wearing that as our, like, that's your background. You're going to self-assess. How are you doing in this? You guys have already written, labeled your map of right. Some of you are still missing that, but labeling, so you've got the vocabulary of what's around town in right down. You know how to say das Museum. You know how to say die Bank. Okay? So think about how you're doing on that vocabulary. Some of you have tried to do the directions, saying you go links, you go rechts, and where you end up, geradeaus, right? Think of how that's working. Think of how, so with directions vocabulary, how do you feel in that area?
I don't feel special.
Think about the grading. We go by your rubric. You guys have talked about your rubric. What is our 4-point scale?
You did fantastic.
Nope, you labeled me on the pre just now. What's our 4-point scale on a CIA?
80?
Nope, we have... Okay, I need your concentration. When you take a CIA, there are 4 values you can get on that.
1, 2, 3, or 4.
How else besides a 4 do we label that? If you do the best you can do.
An A.
An A for what?
Advanced.
Advanced. What's the 3?
B. Proficient.
Pro.
C.
Basic. There we go. I knew you knew how to do it.
And below basic.
Okay.
And failing.
So judge yourself either on that scale or make up a new scale of a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most comfortable. Where do you feel I am on telling directions vocab? Either stuff around town, like, hey, I know this word for library. How do you say it? Bibliothèque. So if you're asking how you're doing on vocabulary around town, if you know bibliothèque, if you're using this scale, fear. If you're talking about directions, left and right, straight ahead, how do you feel on those?
What?
On that scale, how are you doing? How do you say right?
Rechten.
Recht, or auf den rechten Seite, on the right side. All right, so if you're pretty good at that, if you're not maybe advanced, but you're proficient, okay. So do you think you're being graded fairly on that scale? Are there questions where, oh, I didn't get 100% because I thought, I tell you on there, label 10 things on the map of right. So if you label 9 things, what's your percentage?
Nicht gut.
90%. Is there any clarification that needs to happen on fair grading or not? I think your expectations are pretty clear. How to get 100 about labeling the map of right, Kevin? Did you label all that?
Not yet.
Okay. A variety of assessments. Do we just do recording? That is 1/3 of it. What are your three types? What do we do each unit?
Presentational, interpersonal, and interpersonal.
Right, so let's look at presentational. We haven't done that yet. That's why we're in the during, not the post part of our journal. We're at the during because we're in the middle of it. You're going to be writing a paper comparing German businesses And that's what Steven's doing his Jamboard about. Right, Steven?
I'm recording.
Versus right.
I actually did that. I have German and right. That's 5 of German and 5 of right.
Okay. So things that right have that Germany doesn't have is going to be what your paper is about in your presentational. So can we talk about the during on that? Probably not yet because we haven't done it. How about your interpret? When you, and now somebody might not have done this yet, but some of you have. When you looked at the Google form, let me pull that up for you, and you interpreted.
Jimmy, you in the back with the hood on. What comes before?
Where it says interpret unit 5. If you have not yet clicked on this, you haven't done this yet, you can't maybe fill out your goals of the during it, but how well can you interpret this? Some of you got 3 out of 3. Some of you got 0 out of 3. So maybe you're not to the stage yet, but we're assessing where we are right now. Some of you got 1 out of 3. Put that, be honest. If it's a 1 out of 3, that's at the basic level. If you are 2 out of 3, that's proficient. If you had 3 out of 3, that's advanced. If you had 0, that's below basic, and that's okay. It just means we're gonna go back and study the vocab. Show me where marked